everybody, and welcome to another episode of A Little Something Extra with me, Nancy Gianni, and...
the Gigi of this Playhouse.
That's right, my daughter, the Gigi of Gigi's Playhouse. And today, we have Franco Gianni joining us. He is our producer, my son.
Featuring Franco.
Featuring Franco. And since we have...
the Franco.
Or
you're going to give me the Franco now. You're
how
not
about
gonna...
that? What about the Nancy?
No.
Oh.
No.
Okay, well, you know.
You're not deserving enough of a the at the beginning of your title. Sorry to tell you,
I know
Nance.
that. A girl's going to try. All right, so what is a little something extra? Your little something extra is your superpower. And when we talk about superpower, we're talking about how you... We are not talking about having a cape or flying like you guys are showing me, but how you inspire and motivate others. That's the most important thing we can do in the world. How can we be better? Okay, a cape would be cool, you two. So maybe we need to separate these two. I feel like in church when you got separate the kids, that's where I'm at with you two right now.
It'd be nice to have a superpower and fly, but I mean, hey, this works too.
This will work too. So you can inspire kindness. You could fly through the world and spread kindness and motivate others to be better every single day. And that's what this is all about. And that's what our guest today does every single day of his life. So I'm so excited to talk about him, but I'm not going to do it yet.
Right.
I'm going to keep you guys hanging, though I'm probably sure you know who it is.
I am. I know who he is.
You know who he is? I know you do. Shh, don't say
Sorry.
anything. It's a secret.
Oh.
Okay. So what I want to talk about now
it is
is
in
our
the title.
big Gen G moment. Generation G. Generation G is a conscious decision to be better every single day. Be generous, be kind, be accepting. And you know how you do that? Put a G on your hand, put a heart around it, post it on social media, but then that's not all. You have to be kind. It's so simple.
You have to live it.
You have to live it. Be generous, be kind, be accepting. It's really easy. It's not like you have to go out there and donate $1 million or carry somebody halfway across the world. You could just say thank you, smile at somebody.
Hold the door.
Hold the door. Make somebody feel good. Give them a compliment. Whatever it takes, just be better every single day. So we want to celebrate some people that are being Generation G across this beautiful world of ours. So Franco, I know you were scrolling through Instagram and you saw an awesome story about a dad.
I did. So, I mean, like you said, being Gen G, and I think the big thing about being Gen G is we have to promote these people that are going out and living with it. And I think that that's a really important aspect of spreading that message. So I want to really give a huge Gen G shout out to this dad, this incredible dad that lives in Italy named Luca Trapanese. I hope I pronounced that right because I am Italian, so I hope I get that right.
But you're half Irish too, so you can blame it on that.
So Luca had always wanted to adopt a child, but being a single gay man in Italy, it kind of presented a problem for him. It didn't kind of present a problem. It did present a problem for him. He was told that he'd be only given a child with either an illness, a severe disability, or a child with a behavioral problem, which is terrible because just because he's a gay man in Italy, I don't think you should be told that you should only be given a child with special needs. But anyway, the orphanage told him that there was a 1-month-old baby with Down syndrome named Alba, who was ready to be up for adoption, who had been denied by 20 different families after her mother left her after she found out about her diagnosis at birth. So, I mean, as sad as that is, this is a happy ending to this story. Luca, without hesitation, accepted the adoption. He was like, "Of course, I want to have a daughter, and I don't care about her diagnosis or any type of ailment or anything like that. I just want to love someone." And I think the idea, he talk about being Generation G. I mean, he took in this daughter who didn't have a home, and he created this incredible life for her. And they've been together for 2 years now, but I stumbled upon them on Instagram because he is like super dad. I mean, when you go on his Instagram, the way that he just showed, like super dad. That's his superpower. I mean, he is Gen G. He is living it. And I think, and he's showing the world how to live it. So if you go to his Instagram, I think it's his Instagram handle is @Trapaluca. And if you go check him out on Instagram, it's all about just showing off how beautiful his daughter is and how beautiful the diagnosis is. And I think it's something that should always be just appreciated and loved because the type of father that he is, the fact that they told him that you're limited to only this type of child, and the fact that he said, screw it, I don't care. I'm gonna have a daughter, and she's gonna be incredible, and I'm gonna love her like anyone else. And I think that's my Gen G moment of the week. So check out Luca. He is super dad, and I think it's definitely worth checking out. Yes, Gigi is super dad.
That is awesome. So now moving on from one incredible father to another, we want to introduce an amazing man who has done so many incredible things for the world, and not only through all of his movies, but through his Down syndrome advocacy. On today's podcast, our guest is someone that has inspired others through his career and now through advocating for awareness for Down syndrome and acceptance for all. We are so excited. Our guest has been in more than 60 movies, including the Oscar-winning Platoon, Wall Street, and Office Space. Many people know him as Dr. Perry Cox from Scrubs and Stan in Stan Against Evil. But in total, he's appeared on more than 25 television series. Welcome, brother, John C. McGinley. Woo-woo!
Welcome, John.
Yeah. So, John, welcome to A Little Something Extra. We are so excited to have you. Thank you so much for taking the time.
Thank you, Nancy. Thanks for having me.
Yes, absolutely. So I don't want
And
to...
thank you, Gigi, and thank you, Franco.
Of course.
Of course.
Just tell us a little bit about you, John.
I am a father of Max. Max completed my life. I didn't have any idea what love was, or patience, or what a completed life looked like. And that missing link was Max. And when he came along, like you, we had not had an amnio. We had just a picture, the sonogram, and a blood protein test, both of which said Max was perfectly healthy and a girl. And then he came out, and his 21st chromosome had tripled, and he was a boy. And so we spent a lot of time in the neonatal intensive care unit with different microscopic holes in Max's heart. And then when we got out of there, we chose not to have an intervention, and that did heal. And then we had sleep apnea, and then we had seizure disorders. And those were the huge bumps right out of the gate that we faced. The sleep apnea was just a little slice of hell, because when the child stops breathing, or for the uninformed, sleep apnea is when someone stops breathing involuntarily in the middle of their sleep pattern. And if it goes too long, obviously other complications ensue. And so a machine is hooked up with electrodes to the person's chest. And when the breathing stops, the machine recognizes it and lets out this huge scream. And then the caregivers are like cats on the ceiling, because it's to jar the person who's not breathing and or the caregivers. So you can just come over and shake the person awake, and then they'll draw a breath. And so the sleep apnea was a real challenge. And then that was followed by we had a seizure disorder, and they weren't grand mal seizures. They were just
like the infantile spasms.
They were infantile spasms.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, it wasn't a seizure disorder. It was infantile spasms. And so we had to go and have a sleep study for that. And then when Max cleared those hurdles, it was relative to those, it became kind of smooth sailing. We had an amazing Christmas holiday where an enormous amount of language came back to Max. And so we've been extremely verbal lately. So that's just a game changer around here. And so when spoken language, instead of gestures and indications, when spoken language occurs around here, it's manna from heaven. And so we're on that track right now. And we've tried to foster it for 2 decades. And sometimes it yields dividends and sometimes it doesn't. But right now, Max is very verbal, and awesome. It's a real treat for everybody.
Yeah.
In fact, on Christmas Day, Max stepped in front of the fireplace and led everybody through the 12 days of Christmas, which just blew everybody's brains. Everyone stopped what they were doing and jumped right into the 12, which is a very repetitive and it's a hard song because there's a lot of lyrics. And it was it was thrilling. It was thrilling.
That is awesome. And I think that maybe the idea of all that language coming back to him is everybody being together more and having his sisters around. And I love when they start to peak and those things start to happen and you're like, oh yeah, there's nothing like it. Something that you've been working on for so long. I wanted to ask you about when you started Scrubs, and I don't know if this is true or not, because I mean, like, you're a legend in the Down syndrome world. So, like, when you were starting, did you audition for Scrubs because of Max? Like, I heard something that you wanted, instead of doing movies, that you were wanting to do something more like a sitcom. Was that a true story?
Well, I did. I turned down a bunch of movies that would have taken me, usually pre-COVID. When you go to shoot a film, it's for 3 to 4 months, and I was not ready. This was 2001. And so I wasn't ready to be away from Max for 3 to 4 months. And so I started turning a lot of things down, which was hard because I was in the middle of a divorce with Max's mom. I really wanted to work in Los Angeles and take the visitation that I had. I wanted the crumbs I was getting at that point. I wanted them all of visitation. And then Scrubs came along, and I did, even though in the margin it said Dr. Cox and it said a John McGinley type in the script, I still had to audition 5 times, even though it was for a John McGinley type. The first audition, I went to see Billy Lawrence, who is the executive producer and one of my dear friends. And I said, this is for, it says here, this is a John McGinley type. I'm like, I'm John McGinley.
You don't get any more than this.
But because of the way TV, there's so many chefs in the kitchen in TV that I had to go in 4 or 5 times.
Yeah. Well, I don't think they were right when they said it was a John McGinley type, because that was.
Oh, I mean, the role.
Nobody else could do it the way that you do. That's amazing.
And I had a question about the show because I love Scrubs. I'm a big fan of everything you do as Dr. Cox. I thought you were phenomenal in just like your line delivery and everything like that. But the show went on for nearly a decade. And I know it's long. I know it's like almost 200 episodes. How was that for you when it came to being able to like kind of split your time, being able to like basically like go back and forth with Max and going back to working on Scrubs? Because I'm sure it was a very high scale production type of show.
Well, everybody, as Nancy can tell you, everybody has plans, and we all devise plans, and most of the time they don't work out.
No,
but Scrubs was one of those plans to be an employed actor in Los Angeles, and with that geographic proximity to Maxie, it was divine.
Awesome.
It was something I drew up in my brain, and then it worked for, as you suggested, almost 10 years, which is a preposterous run.
Right.
For a sitcom, yeah.
That's unbelievable.
Shows just get canceled. The answer to your question is, and I'll circle back to Nancy, is like, in the special needs community, we all make so many plans, and we devise all these regiments that we're going to adhere to. And there's that great John Lennon quote that life is what happens while you're busy making plans.
That's right.
That's very true.
Gigi and Maxie and people do their thing, and all your plans have to get in line behind what their path is.
Yep.
And that has to be okay, because it's the way it is.
It is the way it is. And it's worth every second. What about in Hollywood? What do you think about advocacy? You're such a huge advocate. Is there any examples that you could give of Hollywood moving forward at all in advocacy, or a place for our kids? Or do you see it happening?
I think just in the language, of course, my real advocacy, the way I kind of function in an advocacy police function, was with the R word. Yeah. And when I got to the Special Olympics and I went to Boise, Idaho for the World Winter Games, Tim Shriver invited me up there. And at that time, some self-advocates who I'd never met before, because of our challenges with language, I didn't even know what a self-advocate was. And I met, every component of World Games is a youth leadership conference. And so 200 or so of the athletes, while they're not competing, congregate in an auditorium, and they table different issues that are bothering them. And these are athletes from around the world. And one thing that came up for all English speaking athletes was the R word. And so some of the athletes decided with a couple of the folks, the support people there, Tim Shriver Jr. and Soren Palumbo and all these amazing young people at the Special Olympics started to craft a campaign called Spread the Word to End the Word. Mm-hmm. And it became viral, and it's baby steps. I mean, people are still using the N-word, for God's sake.
I know.
And
well, but you know what? When they're using the N-word, though, John, they're losing their jobs. They're being fired. They're being let go from TV. They're being let go from movies. They're not being let go for using the R-word.
Well, that's why I've always kind of been so militant about it, that there is no consequence for using the R-word. Yeah. So that if you disparage someone in the Jewish community, or in the gay and lesbian community, or in the Italian community, or in the African American community, there is a consequence. I call it the tax, TAX. Yeah. And there's a tax to it, and there will be blowback. The blowback could present in the form of you losing your employment. With some of my Italian friends, if you were to disparage them, you might get struck. There is a consequence for your language.
It definitely is.
And since there is not with our community, that's where I wanted to be. I wanted to advocate for those who couldn't advocate for themselves.
Absolutely.
And so that's where I've kind of been, whether it's through blogs on the Huffington Post, or I've written different articles for textbooks in elementary schools. And believe me, it's baby steps.
Yeah.
Because unfortunately, Franco's generation still uses that, and I'm not disparaging you, Franco.
I have something to touch on too.
In that younger generation, the R word is every other word.
Yeah,
and
it definitely is.
So it's baby steps.
Yeah.
It's baby steps.
And something that I've always thought, because I've always been a huge advocate since the day that Gigi was born, and I think it's interesting because, like you said, when you hear that word, you kind of like stop for a second, you kind of pause, at least I do, and I feel like I kind of get like a warm sensation of me being like, I'm kind of like sick to my stomach when I hear it. And I think an interesting question is, like, when you're out in public and you hear someone say, like, say the N-word or some type of racial slur, people aren't necessarily, they're very quick to stop and be like, you shouldn't use that word. Why do you think it is that, and I know even for me it happens, is like you feel like that uncertainty, or like that question within yourself, like, should I say something or not? Like, and I usually do, but I think a lot of people that back the idea of like stop or spread the word and the word and stuff like that will be hesitant to speak up sometimes. And I feel
of course, because nobody wants to be told how to speak, and you know, people are all Second Amendment, and I can say whatever I want, which is fine, but that's not actually true. You can't scream fire in a movie theater, exactly. So that's not actually true. And so my approach to that, as Franco, is I always ask people if there's, and this has to be immediate. You can't, it can't fester. Yeah. But I always ask people when they use the R word, I simply ask them if there's a better way to express what they just said. And their first question is, what did I just say? It's like, well, the R word. I'm like, oh, I was just kidding. I'm like, okay, well, my sister and my son were in the special needs community. That's tantamount to using the N word, and it's really offensive. Yeah. And the first thing people will say is, "Oh my God, I'm sorry, I didn't know." Yeah. 99% of the time. Oh. And then 2 sentences later, they'll use it again. And that's what I mean. It's baby steps. But the approach there is, I'm not going to tell you how to talk, since you can speak largely any way you want, and so you need the politically correct police on your shoulder, like you need another hole in your head. But one constructive approach, especially in business and in social situations, instead of telling people what to do, is simply to ask, is there a better way to say what you were just trying to express?
Yeah, I think that polite
the answer is usually, oh yeah, I didn't mean anything. It's like, okay, well, is there a better way to say it?
Yeah, and I think that's probably the best way for people to broach.
Then you allow someone an out instead of putting them in a corner. Yeah. Which most of us don't respond well to. No. And so then there's an out, and maybe you can find some equilibrium, maybe not, and the person's going to continue to do it. Yeah. But I found that's the most productive, non-intrusive way of doing it.
I've faced that situation all the time. And I'm trying to figure out the best way to actually kind of work through that, because, like you said, John, it's very prevalent even in my age group, and I mean, look, we've even been raised on the idea that like being told all the time, don't say it.
Yeah.
It just it doesn't, and it's frustrating.
I think there's also there's a population of people of older people that it was okay to say it back years ago, and they're the ones that are still using it. I was speaking in front of a school, and this little 5-year-old is sitting in the front row, and I was saying, you know what? We were talking about Generation G. So Generation G is a conscious decision: be better every day, be generous, be kind, be accepting, and that's you are not to use the R word. And finally, he was like, well, someone said, and this is the school assembly, 500 kids, and he goes, "What's the R word? What is the R word?" And I go, "All right, I'm gonna say the word once, and then I want it to go in your ear and out, and you never say it again." And I said, the word is retard. And he goes, "Oh, my dad calls me that all the time. That's a bad what?" And I was like, "What? Wait, this is a 5-year-old who just stood up and said, my dad calls me that all the time."
Yeah.
So there, it's all different generations of people that are using it, and now more than ever, I would love to see people stand up for not just what's popular, but for what is right.
Absolutely.
And what is right is to protect a population of people that would never hurt you, purposely hurt you, that are so selfless. They would forgive you in a minute for doing it. They would forgive you in a minute for doing it. And that is the message that we have to get out there, and that we're working so hard to get out there. So, and again, so happy to talk to you about this. I know Franco was really interested. He knew all the work you did on that campaign, and he wanted to talk to you about that one. And I think it's huge for our generation, for his generation. We're going to get there, John. We're not going to stop. We're going to keep fighting it.
Baby steps.
What has been Max obviously has been the biggest change in your life. I know for me, I wouldn't be where I am today if it wasn't for Gigi. But do you think that Max has been the greatest influence on your life, or what do you think who has been the greatest influence on your life?
I think Max and the awareness of a population of people that I didn't, in just keeping your head down and grinding either as an athlete or as an actor, that the special needs community was not something that impacted me, nor would I have had the time or energy to all of a sudden focus on a group that had not impacted me. And Max introducing me to the Down syndrome community and being affiliated with people like the Global Down Syndrome Foundation and some of the doctors that I've gotten to meet in Denver who are working night and day on Alzheimer's and its connection with our population, that whole component, the totality of Max and what's the whole package that Max has introduced me to would have to be the most influential component that I've come across.
Yeah, I'm with you. I said God knew that I had a big mouth, a lot of energy, and if I was, and if it wasn't this, I'd be probably getting myself in a lot of trouble. Right? That was I'm like
good to channel your energy
now
into
channeling my energy into something amazing, into a population of people that I will love and protect. I mean, when Gigi was born, like I said, we had no idea, and the amazing path that we have gone on. Now we started obviously Gigis Playhouse. We now have 60 locations and startups across the country. I think we have one. I don't know where Malibu. I'm so bad about California. Is it near
Los Angeles?
Okay, so we've got one Orange County, and then there's another one that just started
Mexico.
on somewhere outside of LA that's just getting started. So
Miami.
it's so crazy. But these, I get to meet some of the most, like you said, the most amazing people that I would have never been able to meet in my life, and to serve a population of people. Down syndrome is the largest chromosomal disability in our country and the least funded. And they need us. They need a voice. They need to have a place in this world. And I'm just so grateful that you use your platform for good. Because like I said, when I went searching for like the cool factor of Down syndrome, thank God I found you, because I was like going down a deep hole. I'm like, wait, show me something. There's got to be something in here. So it was amazing to have you. You were like my lifeline back then. And knowing that you were just out there and fighting for something that was now new in my life, and I really didn't know what was going to happen. So I know Gigi has a couple questions for you, and I know you guys want to get out swimming and get to the beach. So you could, ask your question. She's a little curious about Max.
She's been sitting here, reading
I know,
the
she's been
entire time.
just
She's very excited.
waiting the whole time. Go ahead, Gigi, it's all yours.
How old is your son?
What's 97? What's 97? How old does that make him?
Oh, he was nice.
I mean, yeah.
Oh,
I mean,
23.
I'm 24. So
So he's 24.
Yeah.
24.
What?
Or he will be in August.
Will be, yeah.
What are his hobbies?
Maxie is very skilled guitar player. And so music would be number one. He loves to get on the swings and then down to the trampoline. He's very comfortable with his dog and going down to the beach and going for long walks. And those are his hobbies. He loves, there's pinball machines over my shoulder, which we originally I got pinball for two reasons. Because there's some that aren't disgusting, have a lot of language. Like there's a Ripley's Believe It or Not right there.
That's
and
cool.
It talks to you a lot. And so that was the first reason I got it. And the other, and it's not the case anymore, but the other reason was for fine motor skills. So I'd keep a bucket of quarters next to the pinball machine, and you would have to put in 75 cents. So you'd have to pick up a quarter, and with fine motor skills, you'd have to put 3 quarters into the machine. And again, Nancy and Franco and Gigi, it was a plan, and it worked because Max's fine motor skills were
very fine-tuned,
making that happen, and it worked.
Yeah,
that's a good idea.
whatever it takes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Gigi was always motivated by food.
For hobbies too.
Remember when when we were working on that fine motor stuff for her, she loved potato chips and then she liked dip, but she would dip so hard, she had to really learn to not break the chip. You have to do it this way, so it was great, fine motor.
Worked perfect.
Yeah.
What else you got, Gigi?
My brother thinks you're awesome.
Oh yes, Franco thinks Franco
You
thinks
think
you're
you're
awesome.
Yes, I'm a big fan of a lot of the stuff that you do, especially your advocacy work. Yes, it's really inspiring.
Is it fun being famous?
It's fun being able to pay the bills, doing something that you love to do, having had every job I can imagine, from being a runner on the New York Stock Exchange to digging tungsten, which is an element in steel for the Kemmer Coal Company. I've been a waiter. I've owned restaurants. I've done all that stuff in support of being a storyteller. And I prefer to simply get paid as a storyteller to all the other things that I had done. So if fame helps to pay the bills around here, then it's great. Otherwise, I don't care.
What are you most proud of?
Being a provider for this family. Nicole asked me that Nicole is in a women's group, and she came home the other night, and they were wrestling in the women's kind of talk group, or not the other night, this was pre-COVID, about what divining what their function was in their families. And she asked me, and for some reason it was immediately available to me, is that I provide around here. And whether that's financially or hopefully emotionally and spiritually, I'm most proud of providing for my family.
Wow, that is a fantastic answer.
Yeah, I think that's what everyone should try to
That
strive to be proud of.
That verb is one of my favorite verbs, and it's at the same time very surgical and meticulous, and it's also a larger tent. And so it functions in kind of a micro and a macro way.
And I think as a career for you, and just as who you are, you're a provider for more than just your family. You're a provider for people, for when it comes to you working in the entertainment industry and being in so many of these amazing, incredible movies and playing so many great roles, but on top of it also being an advocate. And I think even for us, just providing us this inspiration that there's other people out there that are pushing this message of hope and improvement within this of this world, really. And I think that's really awesome.
That's nice of you to say.
What is your favorite story about Max?
Well, that's an easy one. One in the middle of March, almost 15 years ago, Max and I were here, and I was a single father, and we had 2 chocolate labs, Haley and Hudson. And it was a rainy, dark Malibu Saturday afternoon, and I had to get Max out of the house. And so the rain abated for a long enough window for us to go down to the beach and run the dogs a little bit and just get some air. And so when we were down there, Hudson and Haley, for some reason, there was a Jack Russell Terrier down, I don't know, a quarter mile down the beach. And they went down to get in it with the Jack Russell to play. And so I put Max well above the medium tide line, way up against the cliff. and it was a low tide. And I went down to get the dogs because I knew he didn't want to come with me. So on the way back, I finally corralled Hudson and Haley, and I brought them back. And I get back, and Max is sitting on this woman's lap. And she was huddled in a poncho because it was a cold Southern California day. And we had been working so hard. An important backstory is we've been working really hard on keeping an appropriate social distance, which is arm's length. And a lot of people in the Down syndrome community seem to compromise people's personal space, which let's call it 42 inches or arm's length. That's what that phrase comes from. A lot of people aren't comfortable when all of a sudden you're talking here. And we were working on that so hard. And I saw Max right in this woman's face. And my first thought was like, I said to this woman who I could barely see, I said, are you okay with this? I'm so sorry. And she looked from behind Max and she said, you have no idea how much I need this. And I was the most beautiful woman I've ever seen. And I was like, well, I'm his father. And that's Nicole. And I would subsequently marry Nicole and would have 2 kids.
No way.
Max introduced, I would never have said hi to someone as beautiful as Nicole. And so Max introduced me to Nicole.
Wow.
And Max is the reason for Billy, Grace, and Kate.
That's incredible. He knew. Right
He
there.
did know. He
You
picked.
broached that 42 inches because
Wow.
he knew exactly who was perfect for you. Wow.
Wow, John,
That's a
that
pretty
is
unbelievable story.
an awesome story. That is, and it's so our kids too,
Good question, Cheech.
to pave the perfect path for us.
If you had only one message to the world, what will it be?
I guess the easiest one is treat the population of people with Down syndrome the way you'd like to be treated. It's that simple.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
You don't want to be disparaged with exclusionary language, and if you don't want to be looked at like somebody who did something wrong who's never done anything wrong, that's the way I'd like you to treat our community. It's that simple. Just treat our community the way you want to be treated. That simple.
It truly is. Just be
It's
kind.
such an easy guideline to adhere to.
Yeah, it's the golden rule. From the time I was little, that was my mom's golden rule to all of us. Treat others the way you would like to be treated. And it's,
I know, but for some reason it doesn't correlate into the special needs community.
does not.
People throw it out the window.
and you know what really bothers me, I think the most is that we're not even, now social media is almost making it, people think it's better. Gigi and her boyfriend,
Oh boy.
her boyfriend also has Down syndrome. They were at Starbucks and they were sitting there, and there were some of the kids from school were there, and they were next to them. Hi, Mrs. Gianni, all nice to me when they see me. And one of the kids, I see him go like this and kind of take his phone and snap a picture of the two of them and starts writing a caption to send out on Snapchat to me. And I walked right behind the kid and without not knowing what to do, because Gigi and Sam were sitting right there and not wanting to make a scene. They were having a date. But knowing, I just stood there behind him with hoping that the anger was bouncing off my body onto him to know, because he was he kind of just put his phone down in knowing. But that is the worst kind of coward, and that's the cowardice that that the kids are seeing this day is what happens behind the scenes in a Snapchat that disappears, but after it went out to 20 people, and and what happens on social media, or and these are the kids that do this, are the kids that are volunteering in Special Olympics. These are the kids that, hi, Mrs. Gianni, how are you? That people think are doing great things that are doing this behind the scenes. So there's unfortunately a lot of work to get done, but we are not done doing it, right?
I'll tell you one, the converse of that is my very dear friend, John Cusack, who's been kind of the fourth McGinley brother for 30 years.
Oh.
He was so impacted by Max and by the advocacy that I was expressing and how much I abhor the R word, that when he was producing a pretty funny comedy, Hot Tub Time Machine, a bunch of actors were kind of improvising between action and cut, and they were using the R word. And John took them aside and he said, I don't want to be the language police with you guys, but just know that the takes you're doing with the R word in them, even if they're comedy gold, they're not going to be in the film.
That is
So you can continue to do that on your takes, and and it'd be a shame to lose some of your great takes, because in the middle of it we won't be able to cut around the R word. So we'll just get rid of the whole take. And John dispatched that not as the word police and not as that you have to walk on pins and needles on this set, but
Right.
just as a fact.
Yeah.
That that word is not going to be in this film. So if you tell actors that, since they want their best takes to be in the film, they won't say it.
Yeah.
And so there was a consequence for perpetuating that stigma. And the consequence was some of your best work, if it includes that language, will not be in the film. No big deal.
Yeah,
No big
just letting
no
you
one's
know.
gonna
Yeah.
take you. You're not going to be taken to the woodshed. You're not going to get, it just won't be in the movie,
Yeah.
which I thought was such a passive, genius way of,
Awesome way of doing it. Yeah.
great. It's great. And Johnny's been a great advocate.
I didn't know he was. That is awesome. Well, that's good to know and something we definitely want to share.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, look, we have a visitor.
Yay! Is it Max?
Here, come here. Show everybody what you have.
Oh, nice.
Mickey Mouse.
That
Oh,
is
look.
a life-size Mickey Mouse right there. How you doing, Max?
Oh, cool.
Did Mickey get a
And
shave
there's-
too?
And the
There's
rest of the kids.
Kate.
There's Kate.
That's Kate.
Hey,
Hi,
Kate. How
Kate.
you doing, girl?
That's Gigi, and that's Franco, and that's Nancy.
Nice to
And-
Nice to
meet
meet you,
you.
Gigi was born with Down syndrome, and her language is amazing. She's been asking me questions the last 20 minutes, and she is incredible. And
Yeah.
her mom and Franco have
And
built
that's
this podcast and this Zoom to help and promote people. It's called A Little Something Extra, and that of course is the 21st chromosome, which is triples in a person with Down syndrome. And Max, don't start that pinball machine yet.
that'd be loud.
So I've been doing this podcast with Gigi and Franco
And her brother. And what I
Yeah.
think is really cool is like Gigi's like she loves her brother. And
I do.
so defined by her siblings and so blessed to have amazing siblings. And I hear Max has some amazing sisters. So that is an incredible gift. And you know what? What you give to Max, he is going to grow so much from. And the way you act around Max is going to show other people how they should act around everybody. So I just want to say thank you for being an awesome sibling, girl.
And I'm sure Max, on top of that, too, will make you an unbelievable person in general. Because I know for a fact that Gigi has made me the best possible person that I could possibly be. So I'm sure.
Can you tell Gigi 4 or 5 things that are special about Max?
He's just such an incredible person. He's always willing to share and
Yeah.
be kind. He's one of the most generous, kind, loving people I know. And whenever he's here, whenever he comes to this house, he always, first thing I do is I give him a big hug. And it just makes me feel so good to be around him. It's just, he's got this smile that it just lights up your whole entire day.
Plus, he's a rascal.
He is. Dad left me to do Max's lunch with him because I need to ask Max, chicken broccoli, please. And so the second Dad left, Max took a towel or this kind of cloth, and he covered his plate with the towel, and he went to his room. He was like, "I'm done. You know,
That's it.
Hey, you can go do whatever you want. Dad, you know, you're gone, so
I'm free.
yeah, I can sneak off now.
That's
so
right.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
people, all the time I hear this gross generalization, which is a lovely gross generalization, but how lovey-dovey and squishy-mushy
Yeah.
our population is. And all I can tell you is that Max is one of the most stubborn people on the planet.
Oh, yeah.
very
And
stubborn.
And
that
a
can present-
Preaching to the
manipulator, too.
choir here. Yeah.
Yeah, Gigi's quite the manipulator.
Oh, yeah.
She makes us laugh every day. Yeah, I get it, girl.
And a rope too.
And you what?
And bring a rope too.
And
Oh,
she likes
and
to
she
wear
also
her
likes
robe
to wear her
too.
robe
Yeah,
also.
she
Same
likes.
color.
I love my robes. I got it for Christmas. It's my absolute favorite robe ever.
I know it's Gigi's favorite outfit, that's
Like
for sure.
when
is.
we get home, so like her way around having to do her workout, she's got to get her 10,000 steps every day. I mean that's just life.
Oh, right on.
Yeah, so she's got to get her 10,000 steps.
And
So
not.
once those 10,000 steps hit, she'll like whatever she's wearing comes off and the robe comes on because like you can't make me do more because
Yes.
the
The day is
10,000
done.
is done
Yeah.
and I'm done. Like
Sure, when the interview.
Watch.
Second I get home from school, on goes the robe.
I love it.
So you and Gigi got something in common.
Yeah, when Jeed was doing the remote school, I'm like,
Oh,
you
boy.
can't do remote school in a robe. Take off the robe.
No.
I get it. She loves her robe too, which is
Yeah,
awesome.
that's what I was doing before we kind of, my school was doing these Zooms, and all I wore was my robe. So
Yeah.
I could be comfortably doing school.
Yep.
You know,
Right.
I don't see why not, you know.
I don't see.
There's no reason not to, right?
Hey, do you think Kate will stay on and do tips? Oh, did I just
Sure.
say it? Did I?
No, that's
Do you
fine.
think Kate will stay on? So Kate, every segment we do a little thing and Gigi gives us some lifestyle tips. And it's something that we really love and we would love for you to stay on and hear that with us. What do you think? Will you help us out?
That sounds great. Can I just get a chair?
Yeah,
Sure.
get a chair. Come on. Come join us. How about that?
Yay.
You got a little audience now.
So every episode, Gigi shares some tips with our audience.
Do you say tips?
I did say tips.
Tips!
And every time we say the word tips, Gigi likes to
That
sing
is
it.
what
so,
we hear.
So we're not going to say the word again
Ugh.
because if we say it,
She'll sing
she'll
it.
sing it. She was, yeah. And go ahead, Gigi.
These are my tips about acting. I don't know if you know, but I'm also a performer. I performed
Perform.
performed in a play called Pump Boys and Dinettes. I was a waitress named Betty Lou, and right now I'm a top secret dance number.
You are working
A
on
top secret dance number. Yes, she is working on a top secret dance number, but you can't say anything about it. That's why
Uh-oh.
it's top secret. So no one can know till we release it. So when she was that waitress named Betty Lou
Right.
on Pump Boys and Dinettes, she worked for,
Tips!
and that's where this came from. And now we cannot say the word ever in our house. Wherever we are,
Without
she will
that.
sing that. If we're in the store checking out and someone says the word, it's going to happen.
If we're
So-
at a restaurant, we have to leave a big.
Tips.
Yeah. Don't do it. Okay, so let's
You want to
go.
read your tips?
Sorry.
Here.
Oh,
Here we go.
Well, here are my tips to be a good actor. Practice a lot, come prepared, dress for parts, and always be Generation G. Be generous, be kind, be generous, be something, and be kind, and take feedback, and don't be a diva.
Be a
John,
diva.
John, you have been in so many movies and TV shows. Do you have another tips?
Do you have any other tips over there, brother?
well, I'm a huge, as Kate will tell you, I'm a huge one of the TIPSs. Gigi just said was come prepared, and preparation for me is what acting is about, and the amount of preparation one does directly correlates with what's going to happen when somebody finally calls action. So that I always use the analogy to a guy who plays in the NBA. By the time he steps to the free throw line, he's probably taken, or a woman who plays in the WNBA, that person has probably taken 100,000 free throws before they take their first free throw in the NBA. And not that actors have the time to do something 100,000 times, but I have a whole process that I put myself through and actors that I teach through, and it's all about preparation. And the other TIP that Gigi said that really resonates for me is kindness, and especially as we're in this pandemic and we are in these enclosed spaces for protracted periods of time. Kindness has to present more than ever, and I'm encourage people and myself to lean into kindness. And what does that mean? it just means that if your path can be sprinkled with, and if your journey can be integrated into kindness, whenever there's an opportunity to default into something, that default should be to kindness. And I don't care what kindness looks like to anybody, because I think it's part of the human condition.
Mm-hmm.
So when we default to kindness, I think we have a shot at getting through our day or our hour or whatever our challenge is,
For sure.
with grace. And we can, kindness leads to grace, and grace leads to peace. And so they all are linked. And so I loved those 2 tips of yours, Gigi.
Oh, she got
Those
away with
were his favorite.
Tips!
Woo! How about that? You guys, every time you hear the word now, that's going to be in your head because it's
in ours.
Tips!
that was perfect. You guys, what? First of all, Kate, I have to say thank you so much for joining your dad because that just made my day.
Me
You
too.
made my day too.
I want you to meet my Bella too because I think the most important people in our kids' lives are their siblings and the people and all the people around them who surround them and love them and advocate for them every single day. So Bella, get over here.
Right over here.
I've got a funny story too.
Oh, good. I want to hear it. This is Bella.
Bella.
You can look at that camera.
Right there.
Hello.
She's behind the scenes. She's the makeup girl. So she was giving Gigi the Ariana Grande hair and all that kind of stuff. That was what was going on.
Oh yeah.
And so Max comes and goes from his mom's house to our house. And so Dad asked, "Hey Max, do you want to spend Christmas with Mom and Dad, with Nicole and Dad?" And so Max was like, no. And then I was like, wait, Max, do you want to spend Christmas with Billy and Kate?
Oh, boy!
Oh, boy. John, you're out.
Oh,
Dad
thank you.
was like, "Hey Max, do you want to spend Christmas with Nicole and Dad?"
Nope.
Nice.
Very much. So he just goes thumbs down and like yes is
What's the Mickey Mouse?
Mickey Mouse.
That's
And bust
awesome.
chops with the best of them.
That's right.
Seems like it.
Oh my god, I love it.
Love it.
That's amazing. I'm
Well,
sure
we
Gigi
want to
would do the
send
same
you
way.
some. We'll be sending you some Generation G gear, Kate. Generation G. That's our Generation G, girl. It's just put a heart on your hand with a G in the inside of it. Post it on social media. It's a conscious decision to be better every day. Be generous. Be kind.
Kind.
Be accepting.
Accepting.
Whoop whoop. And that's all. There it is. Oh yeah.
Gen
John
G.
C. McGinley is Generation G, which we knew, which is exactly why we wanted to have you on the show, John. Oh yeah, we got a double McGinley, Gen G.
I think Kate's a member of Generation G too.
Yep, that is awesome. I love it, girl.
Awesome.
Yes.
I love it.
Woo! Yes. That is the only way to be. And again, like what we were kind of what you were talking about, it's a conscious decision to be better every day. Whether that just means you say thank you, you hold the door open. It's just human kindness. You don't got to donate $1 million to somebody or carry somebody across the world. You
No,
just
I'm
have
not
to
talking
be
about
nice. Yeah, you just be kind. You just hold the door. You say thank you. You smile. That's all it takes.
Some people like some of the doctors that I've met during this, I encourage them to be kind to themselves because they're working so hard.
Absolutely.
And pieces of themselves are just being extracted every day because they're how hard they're working.
Yeah.
Is that a lot of caregivers forget to be kind to themselves.
Absolutely.
And I don't mean the egregious, egocentric kind of,
No.
going to the spa for a month. I'm talking about tiny gestures that have to do with self-care. And you meet some of these amazing surgeons and doctors, and they need to be encouraged to exercise self-kindness.
Self-kindness. This was so awesome, John. I feel so blessed that like our kids are here with us. This is the most. This is why God gave us this. Our platforms.
Mommy, can I tell him about the movie? Can I
Teach
tell him?
and to love. You want to tell him you love his movie?
I like it. I like the movie. Are we done yet?
Are we done yet?
Yes. Gigi's a
She-
big
It's my
fan of
favorite.
Polygon.
I love
Me
that one too. I've watched that one so many times. It's a great movie.
It is really good.
That one's hysterical. We just watched it again the other day.
It's funny.
Chuck is in the truck.
Chuck is in the truck.
I can imagine around the house all
Oh, yeah.
the one-offs from all that.
And the raccoon in the roof.
The raccoon.
Yes.
Yeah.
The
And the
raccoon.
big fish, like I know you like that one.
And
big
bats,
fish.
too.
The
And
bats,
bats.
yeah.
Yes.
She enjoyed that. We
lot.
just so enjoyed this time with you guys today. Thank you so much. Thank you for sharing your family and letting us meet Max and Kate. It truly was a blessing, and we just can't wait to share your message. You're something extra, your Generation G, your kindness, your love. And again, brother, I thank you again for being my support system without even knowing it when Gigi was born. You were there for me and never even knew you were there for me while you were on the set of Scrubs. So thank you for inspiring people. Thank you for continuing to do it. And we love you, brother. We love you, Kate. And we're going to send you some Gen G stuff. And Gigi's going to write something special to you. And we're going to send Kate some really fun stuff.
And that's it for
Cheers.